Hi guys and welcome back to the channel. Today I've got the tank review for the brand new Czech Tier 7 Premium Heavy tank, the Lioness Skoda T45. Now this is a tank that you can currently get in the Ultimate Pass for 6,000 gold. The base price of this tank is 6,900 gold. So the Ultimate Pass is pretty damn worth it for the tank and everything else that you get along with the bundles. And 6,000 gold is a pretty snip at it. And what would you be getting in this Ultimate Season Pass tank? Well, it's a pretty decent little Tier 7 heavy tank. It's not the tank that we were expecting when they announced that it would be a Czech season and, you know, the Ultimate Pass tank would be a Czech tank. We were probably all thinking it would be the Skoda T45, but no, that's probably coming in a week or two's time. I was really looking forward to that tank. I am really looking forward to that tank. It'll be a lot of fun, I think. This tank is actually pretty decent. I forgot it existed because it was released so long ago on PC before the Czech heavy tanks came out. I forgot it existed, and it's actually pretty decent because the armour is okay-ish, the gun is decent, and you get two different options, which is always great. The mobility is bang average for a heavy tank. It's pretty okay. It's not great, it's not bad, it sits in the okay range. You can have a lot of fun with it, you can also get absolutely dumped on because you're a Tier 7 heavy tank. I kind of like it. I think it's alright. I think there's two different ways to play with it. There is a single shot gun and there's an auto-loading gun. Personally for me, I've had better goes at it with the single shot gun than the auto-loading gun. The auto-loading gun's nice because it reloads quick and, you know, having a clip is always nice, especially for faster firing. But just the way the gun is with the single shot was just more to me. I preferred it, definitely. So, anyway, we'll get into those stats. So, the stats for the Lioness Skoda T45. Yes, it's a decent little heavy tank. It's got an 88mm gun that has 194 penetration on its AP rounds and 250 pen on its heat rounds. Now, those heat rounds at 250 pen are fantastic. That means you're going to pen everything you're ever going to face, pretty much. You're going to be able to pen them all in the weak spots everywhere you need to. 250 heat pen is fantastic. It does have very slow shell velocity, but we'll see that when we get to the garage. The AP rounds have decent shell velocity, but not great. But this penetration's fine for a Tier 7 heavy tank. That's fine. It does get 220 alpha, though, which is a little bit low. Weird that it's not 240, like, say, the German Tigers with the 88mm. It's more you've got the short 88 alpha damage. Kind of odd, but it is what it is. That sort of impacts a little bit with the clip, with the autoloader that you can get, because it's like a 3-shot autoloader. It's 660 alpha in the clip. Quite a low output, but yeah, it is what it is. 220 is decent, though. It's nice. At least you're not like a Black Prince, for example, with 150 damage, where it feels like you're taking a little while to whittle people down. 220 alpha's decent. You got 1,400 hit points as well, which is a pretty decent slab of hit points for a Tier 7 heavy. A lot have like between 13 and 1,500, so you know you're roundabouts there. It's got 35 km/h top speed, which is decent, and you can put a traction system on it and get it up to 38 km/h. And 38 km/h is nothing to sniff at for a heavy tank. For a heavy tank, that's decent. At least it's not like Black Prince slow, and it's, you know, 35 km/h is not too bad. And it does hit that top speed, which is decent. It's got 370 meters view range, which is around about right for the heavy tanks at the tier. They tend to have between 350 and 380, so it's decent. Again, you can get it up with the vents and binocs. Binocs haven't existed in this game for a while. Sorry. Coated optics. You can vents and coated optics, situational awareness, born leader, food, all that lot. You get that view range up to a pretty decent number. Camo's 0.14, which is actually pretty decent for a heavy tank. You shouldn't ever be considering a heavy tank's concealment, but 0.14 is pretty decent for it. So, the guns. Okay, this is the single shot gun. So this fires once. 8.11 rounds per minute. 7.2 base reload. Now, you get that down to about 5.5 seconds. You'll see in the replays when we get there, because I've got one replay for the autoloader and one for the single shot. Yeah, it reloads pretty decently, and that's really nice. 2.5 aim time, it is kind of long, but with skills and stuff like that, and if you were decided to run a GLD, that can be you can get that down, and that can be all right. 0.38 accuracy isn't the best, But again, 6.0 crew skills. You can't run vert stabs on this tank, but you can get the accuracy down a little bit, and the gun behaves. The single shot gun behaves for me, and that was really nice. You do get 7 degrees of gun depression as well, which it's a pretty tall tank, and the 7 degrees of gun depression can feel a little bit inadequate at times. There is a few times when you are on the ridge lines and you're thinking, why can't I get the gun down? It's because you're a tall tank and you've only got 7 degrees of gun depression. It's not bad. 7 degrees of gun depression is pretty solid, but it can be a little bit awkward, so you just need to bear that in mind. So yeah, the accuracy and the aim time of this tank are a little bit underwhelming, but like I say, if you use crew skills and that, you can get these down, and it actually doesn't feel too bad with the soft stats and stuff of this gun. It doesn't feel too bad. The auto-loading gun. So the reload is actually really decent, 7.32 rounds per minute. So you lose 0.9 rounds per minute compared to the single shot. Yeah, 0.8, 0.7.8, something like that. And you get a 19.6 base reload for this clip. Now, I got it down to, I think, 14.5 to 15 seconds, somewhere around that. Again, you'll see in the replays themselves. That's really good, and that means you reload so quickly, and you get those shots out really quickly. So if you can just keep pumping out the burst damage, it's really nice. And you catch out a lot of tier 6s, great. The problem is, obviously, that the gun, being an auto-loader on this tank, gets 0.4 accuracy. Ends up with 0.4 accuracy, and yeah, that's not too nice. It does derp a fair amount for me. That is the one thing that turned me off the autoloader, is the fact that this gun actually derps a decent amount. Even though it's only 0.2 worse, it just seemed to miss. It just seems to love a good miss, and it's really annoying, especially with, you know, having your clip potential wasted. And 2.7 aim time as well. The 2.7 seconds you really do feel on this autoloader. You're going to have two different sets of equipment setups, I'd think. If you're having the single shot, you're more likely to run traction systems, get about quicker. You're not too fussed. On the autoloader, I'm more likely to run GLD to get this aim time down, to get this gun aimed in a little bit more, because it's more likely to miss. I won't say, to be perfectly honest, I don't know which gun is better. I don't think it's down to which gun is better, which one's worse. I personally think it's down to your personal preference of how you want to play the tank. If you like autoloaders, you're probably going to like the autoloading gun, and it's a pretty decent autoloading gun. You don't like autoloaders, you're going to run the single shot, because the single shot's really good as well. So, yeah, it's personal preference on that one. But that's just the two different stats of the gun. So, the turret armour. You've got 160mm of turret armour, 80 on the sides, 80 on the rear, with 26 degrees a second traverse speed on that turret, and like I say, the 370 meters view range. So let's actually have a look at the armour model of the Skoda T45. Now, this tank is the same armour profile and model as it is on PC. So we're using Tanks GG, and like I say, I've had a look, it's exactly the same. This is what it's like to shoot at it with your own gun. This upper plate and lower plate are pretty butterable. I found that you can, if you angle and you wiggle, a lot of tier 7s and 6 guns, especially tier 6 and 5 guns, will ricochet off this upper plate. And, you know, if you just keep wiggling, so just as you're driving along, side to side, you'll be able to ricochet shots off your side and off your upper plate, okay? But don't always expect this upper plate and lower plate to hold up, because once you start facing the tanks with, you know, 180, 190 pen, they will start to destroy you very easily. And like I say, yourself, easily going through the upper plate. And the lower plate's kind of fat, so it's easy to hit as well. If you start to angle like that, like I say, it starts to get decent armour, and it's a lower tier stomper in terms of its armour. Against your own tier and higher, you're just going to get destroyed. The turret armour, like I say, is like 200mm thick in certain parts. If you get hull down and use your 7 degrees of gun depression, you bounce a fair amount at your own tier, and it's pretty nice. But be aware that people with like 230, 240 pen, which is a lot of tanks at tier 8 and 9, absolutely destroy it. So go hull down you know, feel like you're going to bounce stuff when you're against your own tier and lower, but against the higher tiers, just be aware, your armour means pretty much nothing. Now, one thing it can do is side scrape, which is pretty damn nice. So you just got to be side scraping and just try and hide this little corner here, because it does stick out, and it does get caught out and penned, and fuel tanks set off as well, by the way. I've been set on fire so many times by people just catching me here as I'm side scraping. I'll keep ricocheting tons of shots, but the occasional shot hits here, it sets me on fire. Really annoying, but it can side scrape, and that is an effective tool because it's got that 80mm of side armour, and it's something that you'll want to utilise as much as you possibly can. So in terms of the engine power, you get 660 horsepower, 14 horsepower per tonne, which is really good. Like I say, you hit that 35 kilometers an hour top speed really easily. Put a traction system on, you can get up to 38 kilometers an hour, and you hit that easily as well if you run the traction system. It's a pretty solid mobility for the heavy tank if you get it up. Like I say, it's good speed for a heavy tank, 35 to 38 kilometers an hour. It's nothing to sniff at. You could be a Black Prince. 14 kilometers an hour reverse speed is a little bit slow, but hey, it, you know, decent. At least it's not 10 kilometers an hour. You got 15% fire chance. For some reason, with this tank, feels like it's higher. I've not been set on fire as much as I have done playing this tank in nearly 2 years since 6.0. I basically never get set on fire, ever, in any tank since 6.0. This tank seems to get lit on fire all the time. It's really annoying. Same as the ammo rack. The ammo rack getting popped is another one. It seems to just get popped all the time. I don't know what's going off, but yeah, that's a really annoying occurrence. But yeah, the engine power and that is really good. The traverse speed on the tracks, 25 degrees a second. Again, if you run traction system, you get that 10% extra, you get that up pretty decent. The terrain resistances are bad at 2.5 there, but mostly okay. 710 meters of signal range, which... signal range, right? It's not really something to consider. But yeah, this tank's pretty solid. So let's, with the power of OBS, go over to the garage and see what this tank's all about. Well, here's the Skoda T45 in the garage. It's a pretty great... I really like the looks of this tank. It looks really solid. It's one of those that you're going to be looking at when you're shooting going, ooh, that tank looks alright, doesn't it? So, let's go into the equipment. I run vents, traction system, optics. Now, there's multiple different ways you can run this tank with equipment. I run it because I like the mobility, but when I was running the auto loader, I definitely preferred the gun lane drive for that 12% better aim time, because the 2.7 aim time was long and it was fairly painful at times just to miss shots. It was nice to get fully aimed in, so you could run that instead of the traction system quite easily. Also, noted, the advanced reload equipment is on this tank, and it works for the auto loader, okay? So if you have this on this tank and you have the auto loading gun on, you will be able to switch your ammo choice. If you have a full clip loaded, you will be able to load the AP or the heat without any penalty. The only proviso to that is that when you fire your first shell in the clip, or when you start firing the clip, you can't then switch from AP to heat. It will just automatically reload the whole thing. But if you've got a fully loaded clip, you can choose whatever ammo you want with that advanced reload. So that's something else that you could run for those games that are, you know, bottom tier against tier 9s. You can't really pen them with the AP. You can use the clip of AP where you need, but then think, oh, I need 250 heat pen, I've just reloaded. Oh, I can just switch to the heat. You can run the advanced reload. It does work. So you could run that, or the GLD, or the traction system. I like the traction system with the single shotgun, and like I say, with the auto-loading gun, I'm more likely to run the GLD just to have that better aim time. That's my ammo loadout. It's down to your personal preference, that one. In terms of the module viewer, let's go have a look at this, because we've got the shell velocities. We've got 995 ammo speed on the AP, 600 meters a second on the heat round. That's awful. 600 heat velocity is pretty damn shocking. It's not great, I'm telling you that now. That once you switch to heat, you really do feel the difference. So, this is the auto-loading gun, right? And I'm going to show you for the sake of what your aim time is. So, with what I've got loaded out currently, 2.44 seconds on your aim time, which, like I say, is you can feel that it's just slow. It's a bit of a pain one. We put the GLD on, slam it in, go onto the module viewer. We've now got a 2.15 aim time. You see the massive difference in the aim time. It's really nice. Okay, that's why I recommend, if you are running the autoloader, run GLD. But if you do want the extra speed, the traction system is fine as well, because you do hit 38 kilometers an hour very, very easily, because the mobility of the tank is fairly decent for a heavy tank. So in terms of commander for this tank, I run Ball Leader, Rapid Reload, Sixth Sense, Situational Awareness, Track Mechanic, Off-Road Driving, Steady Aim, Run and Gun, Snapshot. Now, I run those because, obviously, I want to make the gun as good as possible. On the autoloader, it's really derpy, and even the accuracy on the single shot isn't great. And you are a heavy tank, so making your gun handling as good as possible is exactly what you want to do with these perks. Off-road driving, because I want to help the mobility, and I've used it because I want to help the traction system be able to be useful and get up to that top speed as easily as possible. It does have good power to weight. Every little helps with the off-road driving, just to make sure that across all the terrains, because it does get hammered on, I think it's moderate or soft, I think it's soft terrain, it gets absolutely hammered. We want to help it out as much as we possibly can. But in terms of that, instead of that, you could definitely run Rapid Aim to make the turret traverse better, or Clutch Braking to make your track traverse better, or Firefighting, because it does get set on fire a lot. It just seems to get set on fire. Warnings. Or Armour Angling, because heavy tanks, you know, decreasing the amount of damage coming in is fine. But yeah, that's the Lioness Skoda T45. It's a pretty decent, solid Tier 7 heavy tank. Is it worth the Ultimate Pass? I think the 6k Ultimate Pass is always kind of worth it, because there's a lot of goodies you get in it. And this tank is definitely a decent little heavy. But you might want to save the gold and go with the standard season pass so that you can save your gold for the Skoda T56 whenever that actually comes out. Because that will definitely come out around when the line comes out. So as always, everybody, I'm going to send you over to the replays where you're going to see one game with the autoloader and one with the single shot. You can make your mind up whether you like the look of the tank, whether you think it's any decent. You can make your mind up to have a look at how both guns play, how both guns handle, and then you can make your mind up on that. So as always, everybody, I'll see you in the replays. So here we are in the first replay with the Lioness Skoda T45, and this replay is going to be using the autoloader. So we're going to see how this autoloader does on this tank. We're on cliff, and it's like, okay, you know what? I decided, screw it. I'm going to charge down the 2 line, I'm going to get into that middle area, and I'm going to try and get hull down at E23, and just see if I can get any side shots on people going up the BC line. And this is me, actually, I wasn't using the traction system at this point, and you've just seen the proof, the evidence, that the ammo swapper, get the name of it, the ammo swapper works. That there was me fully loaded, mashing the A button, switching rounds, and it never reloaded. So that's actually pretty damn good for this tank, for the autoloader. For some reason that works when it doesn't work on any other tank. Because, like I say, you can switch ammo with the clip. As long as you don't fire, you can decide, oh, actually, I'm going against a mouse churn. I'm going to switch to heat round so I can pen it. Do that. It's pretty decent. It adds to the flexibility of the autoloader, and it's something that is pretty nice. But, you know, the traction system is also a very attractive prospect for it, as is the GLD for this tank. So, we've got to this position at E2, and it's like, right, okay, this Inferno's here. I've got 2 people with me. I'm not going to be able to use my 7 degrees of gun depression there, because it's just going to be too awkward. So we go for the track and penning shot on the Inferno there. Unfortunately, we ended up bouncing on it, but we did finish him off. We actually got shot by something that was over at B6 that wasn't spotted, so what I'm just going to do is wait for the reload before I poke out around that corner again. And you see just how quick I'm reloading. 15.9 seconds. It's pretty decent. 660 alpha in the clip, though, is a little bit low, and it can be a little bit disappointing. But when you're shooting tanks like the Hellcat that hasn't got much ammo, yeah, it's pretty decent. And that guy's gone. sayonara, see you later. That's exactly what happened to him. That's also the nice thing about the autoloader, right? Because in that situation, with the single shot, I'd have probably got 2 shots into him, and he might have got away. Whereas there I was bang, 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 and he's gone. It's always the nice thing about an autoloader when you can burst damage and smash someone out like that. But, you know, you lose that accuracy as well as a little bit of flexibility with the single shot. Personally, I do prefer the single shot. I don't know what it is about it, I just do. Well, I know what it is about it. It just feels a bit more accurate, and I feel like I can get a little bit more involved, and I'm not relying on this gun hitting all of its shots. But when you get in situations like these, it's pretty nice. And like I say, I gotta say, the burst damage is nice, and the fact that the reload is like that 15 odd seconds, you do feel like you're always involved. It's not like some autoloaders which are just always sort of on the peripheries of stuff because that's all they can do. It can be pretty good. So here is another Lioness, and it's like, well, okay, let's see how we do. We're shooting it ourselves. Aim for the lower plate, hit all 3 shells in. There we go. Slap, slippity slap. We're up to 2.7k damage, 199 assistance, and again, we're just waiting for the reload to go in before we can dump the next clip. And this is where this reload is really good. We try and get a shot into the drive wheel of the A-mill. Unfortunately, the Durpigan handling just lets us down a little bit, and we end up missing, because obviously we weren't really that well aimed. This VK is kind of coming around the corner, and it's like, okay, I don't want to get slapped by that. That's a big gun. So we pull back around the corner, wait for the reload, and it was like, wait, what did detect me there? Because there was nothing really looking at me, but okay, I don't think there is anything over there. So we're actually going to pull around to see if we can get another shot again at these guys. There's a Draugen going across. We get a nice shot into his side or lower plate there. Unfortunately, he just gets behind cover, and we get the final shot into the A-mill 1. Success, 2 out of 3, that's fine. Next target is that Draugen, hopefully to get the shots into him, or the heavy tank that is at the base of the cliff, because he might also be a problem. It is the A-mill. We get a nice shot into the side of him, and he's down. We've got 2 shells left. We know where the TDs were. I'm guessing the ICU was one in the base. I remember seeing a TD at B3, and I'm like, where is he? No, it was the SU-100M1 from watching this, and the ISU ends up ammo-racking us. But we finished again with 2 kills, 3.4k damage, high caliber, first class, 1642 base XP. A pretty nice game for a Tier 7 Heavy with the autoloader. Just unfortunate how that ended, because that could have been a little bit more, but I just thought that the TD that was spotted in the base earlier on, because I hadn't quite clocked what it was the ISU, but unfortunately it was down below, and he ended up ammo-racking us through the turret, which, really unfortunate way to end it. But it showed off what the autoloader can do, how fast it reloads, how much you can keep popping around getting the clips in. The 2.5 second intra-clip reload is a little bit slow for my liking. I do prefer them when they're a bit slower. No, a bit faster. When they're slower, it's even worse. No, yeah, when it fires faster, if it's 2 seconds, 2.25 seconds, something like that, it would have been a little bit nicer for the damage dealing potential. As it obviously, it means you get 3 shots out in 5 seconds from the first shot going out. It can be a little bit slow, but you know. So this second game is on Himmelsdorf. We're at bottom tier, well, kind of bottom tier. We're against tier 8s. And we've got the single shotgun. I try and get a shot on the move into the M56 Scorpion, but he's actually covered by a load of rubble, which means getting the shot this guy's a little bit awkward. We do have the traction system in this game, so we are going up to 38 kilometers an hour, and it's just helping us get into a very aggressive position. We get a nice shot again into the M56 as he pulled out really aggressively to get a shot into us, and he's now getting shot by my team from behind. I know there's a load of heavy tanks around this corner, and this is where the ability for this tank to side scrape is really going to help me, because we're going to side scrape out, and we're going to start bouncing things and trying to work them over with this gun. And as you're seeing with the reload, it's pretty decent. We've got a 6-second reload for 220. Say it's not the best, but it's not the worst. And we can just keep consistently and reliably dumping out the shots. The side scrape ability of the Armour here is doing us pretty well. We get a nice shot into the lower plate of the Tiger too. The penetration's great. 194, it's fine. Same as, you know, the 203 on the Tigers are fine. 194 is fine, and if you really need to switch to the heat rounds for 250 heat pen, you're always going to have a good time. Now we get another shot into the lower plate of the Tiger 2 there. I was hoping that someone would shoot him so I could finish him off, but it's fine because we managed to get the finishing shot into him anyway. And then another one of us pulls around the corner. It's like, okay, don't shoot me. He ends up firing heat, hitting our side, which gets absorbed by a space armor. We track him in place, and we shut him down. As we go around the corner, there's SU-130PM. I'm like, oh, I'll get a shot at him. Okay, the KV-3's gone AFK. Okay, then. Just let me farm you. The SU-130PM, I've already clocked his AFK, so it's like, that's fine. We get a nice shot into his drive wheel, and I was thinking loads of people are going to shoot him, but no one does because I'm in the way. So I'm like, I'll get out of the way. Oh, no, artillery. No, don't do it. Oh, thank God. And then he springs to life, and it's like, whoa, he's quite lucky that he now gets hit by everyone. We've still got the HE in. I'm going to shut down this artillery because we're very lucky to avoid his shell, but unfortunately, because we got 44 pen, we don't go through the lower plate, but we do get to finish him off, which is pretty decent. We're up to 2.4k damage, 1,000 assistance, and it's all going pretty well so far. We're just going to go after this Black Prince, and hopefully we'll get to finish him off, which we do. Another kill in the bank, and now we're going after what's left of the enemy team. We spot the Projector 54, he's running down the hill. It's like, right, okay, I'm going to go up this little slope here, get up behind him and try and get some shots into his side, which is what we want to do. I'm also being a bit wary because obviously something could come charging down the hill, and that would be bad for us, really, because, yeah, we'd be in a bit of a tight situation, but I do want to get into position to get the shots into the side of this guy, help my team, my heavy tank that's coming around the other side. So just as I'm about to put around the corner, yeah, it happens. Two tanks come running down. We get an auto-aim shot at the M48A2, but unfortunately bounced off his turret. And now there's the T43E3 in front of us. He's lower health. Sure, the M48A2 is a higher tier and has decent DPM, but I need to get the guns out of the game because they can get an awkward crossfire at us, and we don't want to be stuck in that crossfire. The M48A2 is actually tracked in a weird position, so we managed to get a shot into his side. He comes charging, but he gets set on fire and killed by the T34 that is behind me. Now we're left with the ability to get some shots into the Projector 54 side. Again, very awkward position that we've got here. This little road on Himmelsdorf was really awkward with our gun depression. The artillery's there. He manages to miss us, and we can't really ignore him. We get a shot into him, and now we're going after the Projector 54, and we're being a little bit cheeky. Unfortunately, the cheekiness doesn't pay off when you're facing an auto-reloader that actually has enough alpha to finish you off. And he killed us, but unfortunately, well, we still had a good game. Finished with 6 kills, 3.6k damage, 1700 assistance, ace tanker, top gun, high caliber, 2.3k base XP. A really nice game for the Lioness Skoda T45. It's a pretty decent tier 7 heavy. Nothing to shout about, but nothing to cry about. It's a pretty nice... I've enjoyed playing it so far, and I'll enjoy keeping on playing it. And you've got the choice of an autoloader or a single shot. So as always, everybody, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.
A great success!